Hello and welcome to another edition of KCVA Training. Today, I will be demonstrating how the financial reports are made each month. I will start with a list of the reports and queries that I run in Smote, and then go through each one individually to show how to pull them. After we have the data, I will explain how the information is pulled from each report and compiled within the financial reports that are sent out. I hope this video will help viewers obtain a better understanding of the information within the financials, as well as explain the work that goes into each report. The actual details query is one that I rely on heavily, not just for the financial report, but also just for general information, because it has almost everything in it. Every deposit, every withdrawal, whether that's a travel expense or something to a vendor, it will have that. It's just a very handy tool to have. It has extensive information within it. And so for the financial report, I'll run it, and then I can pivot to that information to pull out expenses according to account codes, departments, just anything I want. So I use it for the project expenses, revenue details, salaries and wage details, contractual services, commodity details, capital outlay, even agency use. I'll go into more information later on how to actually use what is in this query. To run the actual details query, you can look for the query viewer over here by the navigator, which I just have it bookmarked right here. But if you've never found it before, another way to do it is to just go to search, query viewer, and then you can type in the name of the query you are looking for. If you don't know the exact name and you just know a single word, you can go to the advanced search and you can just hit contains right here. But I've already found it before down here. And on this one, since it's a larger query, I'm actually going to hit schedule because it'll pull too much information for Smote to just pull up all at once. And then I click this, and I've already populated the dates for fiscal year 24. So I can just hit apply. And then on here, if you want it to come to your email daily, you can just hit recurrence, daily at 8 p.m. Or if you just want it during the weekdays, you can hit Monday through Friday down here. And as you can see, I already have it set up for email text. I'll just go ahead and hit daily 8 a.m. Okay. Here it was emailed to me, so I can just open it. Here's the query. And then soon I will show how to use this. But I'll go through and show how to run all of the other reports first. To run the cash control report, just go to your nav bar over here. Go down to navigator. Scroll down to commitment control, and then budget reports, and then it'll be the bottom one down here. And then you might have to input your initials if you've never ran it before. But just hit search, and then you can select the accounting period. Right now, I'm using current month, but when I go to make the financial reports, I'll usually use prior month since it'll be for the month before. Because say on February 1st, I'll be making it for as of January 31st. You can also look at what you've brought in this year and last year for the cash reports. You can select the kind of format you want and then just hit run. And I have it set as to come to my email as a PDF. And you can also do a recurrence and select daily or Monday through Friday, similar to the others. And that's handy because then you can look at it each day to kind of monitor how your funds are doing. And then just click OK. And once it's in your inbox, you can see here I have the Excel version. And I also have the PDF that comes to me daily. You can just open it. And there you are. To get to the budget overview section, just go to your navbar and then scroll down to commitment control. Review budget activities. And the budget overview is just right here. Click that. Search. And then here you can specify if you want all the different chart fields, account, department, fund, budget unit. And you can add more to that just for whatever you're looking for. And then hit search. And then here are all of the results. I usually send it to an Excel workbook. Yes. And then from here, I can filter it. I can select the funds, which usually I'm just looking at fund 1,000, 8,100 anyways. The budget details is incredibly handy, not just for the financial reports, but for knowing what is going on within specific funds and budget units at any given time. I can run that cash control report, but it only shows me at that top fund level. And same with that budget overview. It's nice, but it doesn't give me details down to the voucher and different things that are going on. And so that general ledger report, that very first one that I showed, is also good for looking at details. But then if you just want to know a specific fund and budget unit and you don't want to have to pivot and dig through all that information, that's where this really comes in handy. So just go to your navigation bar, hit Navigator, scroll down to Commitment Control right here. Review budget activities, and it'll be this top one, budget details. And these are the three I use the most. Appropriation ledger group, that's going to be your state general fund and your SIBF. This cash is going to be all of those others. It's the per diem, it's plot, it's lottery. And this is useful for expenses in those. This is the cash revenue. So for this example, I'll just do appropriated ledger group, search, input the information you want. If you want to just know all SGF, put in 1,000. If you want to know all SGF for a specific year, for 2024, put in the budget period, hit search, and it'll pull up the information. What I use it for on the financials is I'll look and I'll make sure that this number here will match my financials. And then I'm looking at encumbrance. I'll copy and paste that into the financials. As well as I'll go through and make sure my monthly expense amounts still match up. And I'll go into more detail with this later on in this video. And then for cash, return to search, cash. Now this one, even though there's a budget period available, do not fill that in. Only put in the fund code, your details, and again it'll pull up the expenses. Oh, here it's saying this because over here, max rows, I left it at 100. I'll just input 99,000, and then now it'll pull up all of the data that I'm looking for. The budget details is incredibly handy, not just for the financial reports, but for knowing what is going on within specific funds and budget units at any given time. I can run that cash control report, but it only shows me at that top fund level. And same with that budget overview. It's nice, but it doesn't give me details down to the voucher and different things that are going on. And so that general ledger report, that very first one that I showed, is also good for looking at details. But then if you just want to know a specific fund and budget unit and you don't want to have to pivot and dig through all that information, that's where this really comes in handy. So just go to your navigation bar, hit Navigator, scroll down to Commitment Control right here, Review Budget Activities, and it'll be this top one, Budget Details. And these are the three I use the most. Appropriation Ledger Group, that's going to be your State General Fund and your SIBF. This cash is going to be all of those others. You know, it's the per diem, it's plot, it's lottery, and this is useful for expenses in those. This is the cash revenue. So for this example, I'll just do Appropriated Ledger Group, search, input the information you want. If you want to just know all SGF, put in 1,000. If you want to know all SGF for a specific year, for 2024, put in the budget period, hit search, and it'll pull up the information. What I use it for on the financials is I'll look and I'll make sure that this number here will match my financials. And then I'm looking at encumbrance. I'll copy and paste that into the financials, as well as I'll go through and make sure my monthly expense amounts still match up. And I'll go into more detail with this later on in this video. And then for cash, return to search, cash. Now this one, even though there's a budget period available, do not fill that in. Only put in the fund code, your details, and again it'll pull up the expenses. Oh, here it's saying this because over here, max rows, I left it at 100. I'll just input 99,000, and then now it'll pull up all of the data that I'm looking for. The current obligations report is useful for knowing how much is encumbered at any specific time. And I'll go into more detail once I show you how to get to it. Just go to your home page here, click this, go down to General Ledger /KK, scroll down to General Ledger Reports, click that. Over here under Commitment Control, scroll down, hit Current Obligations, and then you might have to input your initials if you've never done it before. I just hit Search, and then here you can customize it. I have it to where it pulls up Fund, Budget Unit, Program, Department ID, and Account, but if you don't want all that information, you don't have to. And then just click Save. Run the report. Now I'll just have it emailed to myself, and again, this is one that you can have run daily. For some reason, if I have it in CSV, when it comes to me, the Excel worksheet is always blank. So I just click PDF normally. For this purpose, For daily purposes, I'll do PDF just for a quick at a glance. But for the financial reports, I'll actually click CSV and web. And that's so it'll send it in an Excel format that I can then pivot and work with. Saving. And then I'll click Process Monitor. And here it's showing everything that I've ran recently. And I'll hit refresh until this becomes success and the status becomes posted. Sometimes if there's a lot of information, it can take a while. It's finally success and posted. So then I'll just click Details. View log / trace. And then I want this here, this CSV. And there it is. And then later on, I'll show you what I do with this. The Supplier Spend query is very handy, besides just for the financial report, even mid-month. If someone wants to see how much has been spent at a specific supplier agency-wide, they can run this query and it'll pull up that information for them. You're going to just go to Query Viewer. And then query name, I'll just paste it in. But again, if you don't know the whole query name, you can go to Advanced Search, just like with the other queries, and do contains for the name. Supplier Spend, I'll run this one just to Excel. And this can also be one that, just like the actuals detail query, you can set it up to come to your email in the same method. It ran. Just enable editing. And then here you can quickly see the supplier names, the different Amazon, Avid Hotel, exactly how much has been spent at them so far. You can even filter it and show, the largest one, which is Y Staffing, and that's for both KSH and KVH. What I like with this, that the actuals detail doesn't have, is it'll show contract IDs and also whether there's a PO tied to each one. So that's what I look at a lot, is for those contracts to see if something is nearing $5,000, does it have a contract with it? The expenditures report that I'm about to show you is useful for double checking my data against. When I pivot the actual details, it could be that sometimes a figure doesn't get pulled or it's very easy to forget something. So I'll use the expenditure detail report to compare it to the actual details and make sure that both are matching. But in order to pull the expenditures, I go to General Ledger, back over to General Ledger Reports, and then over here is the second one, and just hit search. Fiscal year is 2024. Accounting period, that's the month that you are looking for. And so right now that's actually showing December, which is what I ran it for the last time because it's January right now. If I want to update it to January, that'll be a 7. Just hit save. Then you can also choose your accounting detail. I have it at 6, which is the most detailed, but you can go down different levels if you just want a broad overview. And then hit run. And again, you can have it come to your inbox daily if you prefer. And then the format you'd like, and hit OK. And if it's in your email, it'll come directly to the email. If you've clicked web, go to process monitor. And I had it come to my email. Here it is. The report I start with first is the GL Actuals Detail. I'll just click anywhere in it and then hit Pivot Table. I have it saved to the top here, but you can also find this under Insert and Pivot Table. Just click OK. And I filter out the year-end close. And then I'll group accounts. These account codes here are for the treasury side. They're not ones we really use much. since this is appropriated, I'm going to drag the fund down, and our appropriated funds are 1,000 SGF, and the State Institute Building Fund 8,100. And then I'm going to click the grand total down here in order to make a detailed sheet of everything that goes into these numbers. If you wanted it for just contractual services under 8,100 code. Over here, I named this one cash because this will be for the cash accounts. That I don't need this, I can remove that. I had to remove the budget data over here, or else it was saying, nothing from the current budget year or the previous budget year. So, okay, and then under funds, it's the opposite of appropriated. I want everything but SGF and SIBF. Just go ahead and use some amount. And I want the details for this. I didn't use to make a combined spreadsheet. I just did one for appropriated and one for cash. But having this combined spreadsheet really helps when pivoting for the different contractual services and capital outlay tabs that were added about a month ago. And then I'll come over here to the appropriated details. Select cell A2. Scroll down all the way. Hold down Shift. Select the bottom right cell. Control C. Here, everything's combined. Just to make sure my pivot table pulls in information from everything on here, I'm going to go ahead and select the very bottom right cell. Ungroup this, and then regroup. I want both months and years. If you don't do months plus the years, I'd actually put January before July. You don't have to hide these columns, but I do just so it reads easier for me. Here, I'll sort all of these into revenue, the other expense categories. This one. For help on these two, to know the different categories, it's useful to have either that expense policy manual 7002 or that Smart Codes workbook also has those in it. I usually color code these. Looks like I included 7,000 with this last time. You don't have to color code all of these. I just do because it makes it easier for me. Now I'll remove the account. We'll use it later, but right now it's just easier to have it out of the way. January disappeared. Hide. Okay. I'll actually start with make this one revenue. You don't necessarily have to divide it all out, but for me that makes it easier. This very first tab, 2024 By Fund, is the backbone for the entire workbook. All of these sections here, revenue, expenditures on each one, all of them pull directly from this tab. So this top section here, up here, is where I have the revenue recorded. Minimize that a bit so I can get it all on one screen. Often keep December within view. That way I can see and make sure I've organized my data correctly. Okay, here we are. I'm going to go ahead and just put a freeze pane right here. That way, when I'm scrolling back and forth, the labels will still be in view. I have it just saved up here as an option. To find it down below, here it is. Haha. And then I'll minimize this just to give more space so we can see everything. Same with this. I want it all on one screen, that way everyone can see what's up. Okay. Looks like that's matching. Very good. I'm gonna collapse this so it's easier to read. Haha. There, that's easier. From here, it's just a matter of copy and paste. Always make sure these two numbers match, and they do. Then what I'll do is just go back in and remove all of the negatives. And this section here actually doesn't show up anywhere else in the workbook. It's just for my knowledge. This makes sure that all of the KVH revenue is pulling from this tab into the other appropriate tabs. Same for KSH and Veteran Services and things like that. I'll do similar with expenses. Put it out to make sure I exclude revenue. And then I'm going to freeze this pane so that it's easier to see. Again, it's just a matter of copy and paste. And you will want to make sure you're lining up different expense types, because some of these won't have anything in salaries that month, so it's easy to miss it. I'll show you when I get to one. Here, we had stuff in contractuals, commodities, capital outlay, but nothing in salaries and wages. That's again where, for me, color coding really helps, but you don't have to. And then here, this is a ways down to actually break it up. Yeah, I double check again to make sure these match, and they do. So this one is off. It's probably just a formula, but let's see. Yep, there it is. Then backdate that. Mm-hmm. And then if you scroll down just a little further, you'll see here it's similar to the to before, except this one just double checks that all of the salaries are recorded as salaries. Same with commodities and capital outlay. And I just have this down here, and I compare it to the spreadsheet over here, the details. It looks like everything matches. And then down here, it's just like with the revenue up above. It's making sure KVH is pulling in everything. So is veteran services and admin. Okay. And then on the next tab, all of this information up here is already pulled in from the first tab here, the By Fund. So what I'll do is I'll scroll down here and pull all of this over. And what this does is it just compares this total to this one to make sure all of these are matching. And this section down here is actually when don't use this as much, and so I'll go ahead and minimize this. I'll delete encumbrances. And then this section is what I use that cash control report for. So let me pull that up. This is the Excel version of the cash control report. I also have it in PDF just for documentation, since this can be manipulated, but that PDF directly from Smote is not. So I'll just start by making a copy of this tab. And then I'm going to go ahead and just delete these because I don't need them. That's smaller, so it's easier. So these appropriated funds are not on here. I'll get to them next. For like the fee fund, I just verify that this amount matches this, and it doesn't. That means either a voucher didn't go through, or most likely they received some revenue at the very end of the month that didn't get recorded onto the report. So let's see. Since it's the fee fund, and I'm thinking it's probably revenue. I'll go to cash revenue. Fund code 2236. Again, remember not to fill out the budget period. I don't know why that's even available. View details. Change that to if possible, or it won't pull everything. And let's see. Here we have 174 for last month. Yeah. It's 183. 198. 198. Those look good. Let's see if this matches now. Almost. But no cigar, so let's see. Okay, so we might have something different on the expenses side as well. I'll just hit new window. I forgot to do the there. So let's see. The 6th is December. Yeah. This has changed. We should be golden now. Yep, those two numbers match now. I guess that was. And so the final number here, 726, 726, they match. I go ahead and just gray it out. That way I know it's been done. The next will be the Medicaid. Actually, I'm just gonna need all this. Now we can make it easier yet. Shows. Nope. This one's also off just a little. So we'll go in and we'll see where. Where? At you. Excellent. That matches now. $32.20 is what actually will get just a little harder because we have to divide them out. I have to manually go in. So I'll just show how I do that. So here will just be to double check that they match. Okay, so 339. Let's look. Last month ended with 189. KSH. It was. Go ahead and just get this one while I'm here too. So if I go down here. This match. And this 95, 265. We can scroll up here. And here's 48,000. KSH. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this number while I'm here. And those two match. I'll go back here to KVH. Those two match. Those match. Now I'll just make sure. And then for the expenses portion, I just go here to this section. Let me go ahead just to make it easier to see. There. And this also match. This is negative, but at this point it doesn't matter. On the first, I actually went in and did a journal entry to correct it, but as long as we have it showing 0 by the end of the fiscal year, they don't care. I just do it on a monthly basis so that we don't end up so far in the hole on this fund that we can't make it up with others. So I just go in about once a month and update it, but we will not get dinged for that negative amount unless we try to end the fiscal year with that. And then back over here on KVH. 189, 189, revenue 46, 6230, that's correct. So go ahead and gray that. 213, yep. So I'll gray that one. Okay, started with 201. Oh, nope, we have some revenue that came in. $281. Or as in it was $60.55. Okay, that's that 200. Yep, that's accurate. Here we are. That matches. So on the obligation report, in order to kind of summarize the information, I'll do another pivot table. We will be doing a lot of pivot tables. And then fund, budget unit, and over here I'll do date, ungroup, group, just ungroup, and then to 6/30/2023. Nope, it's 25. Okay, there we are. Group. Prior budget year. Group. Budget year. I'll go ahead and sort these alphabetically, just so that when I copy it onto the sheet, it's in order. There we go. I'm not going to include blanks. Oh, interesting. Right now, we'll use the vendor name, but not yet. Right now, we are only interested in the remaining amount. And collapse that. Move this up. For the appropriated fund, we're not really worried with the previous budget year. Yeah. Oh, nope. Copy that. Paste. Again, I'll just go ahead and gray out the ones I've used. $23 and $22.36 here. We can see they have $457,000 in current obligations, $53,000 tied to obligations from last year. It's usually it for KVH, but I'll look and see. These we'll get to on that next projects tab. Okay. So then what I'll do here, and I'll just create a new window. That way I can keep these open and save time later. STF is an appropriated fund. Budget period. We look at the expenses. Compare them to what I have. Excellent. Let me see. And I'm just going to look at the budget overview here and compare it. It's just easier to hide a lot of the information I don't need. Okay. Excellent. We can see that this 359 matches that 359. So we'll go in, and again, I'll gray this out. And this was that budget overview report that I showed how to download earlier in this video. And I'll also go up here and just kind of compare journal date to accounting date and look for anything that's majorly off. I don't know why those are in there. They're not needed. Oh, I think I was doing something earlier. See, that's why I compare stuff. Okay. So then I'll come down here and I'll look and I'll compare journal date to this available budget and just kind of make sure it matches. Sometimes it'll be off a few $1,000s one way or the other, because if a voucher is entered on, say, the 31st of the month, but then it's not approved and paid out until the 1st of the month, it'll show up down here according to accounting date, but it will not show as actually paid until the 1st of the month, and so then it's not going to show up here. Same with, it could be the exact opposite with revenue. We're going to show that, hey, we have revenue here, not here. I mean, it could be the same with revenue. It'll be here, not here. So, it just depends. A quick way to do it is, I include that encumbrance since if there's included, and they match exactly, so there's nothing to really look into. By type, it all pulls from that same by fund tab. I just make sure that this is 0 so that I know it's grabbing everything. This just compares it to the by fund. Projects will be similar to what we did for SGF. This, I believe, this is going to be $887 until the cows come home. We've looked into how to return it and haven't been able to figure that out yet. So it's still just $887. I'll look and make sure nothing has happened to it. But it should stay. Yep, there it is. Here we are. The incumbent on 8250 is 97,762. Expenses for 8250. We'll go in here and we'll create our last window. We have 2, each for cash and 2 for appropriated cash. It's just that cash expenses and cash revenue. This one is SGF and the next one will be SIBF. $50. Okay. Let me make sure here. Yep, that matches. KVH is usually pretty easy. This project expenses tab will come to at the end. Here. Here is the budget actuals, and I make sure it's updated. So that's H, and we should be on, I believe it's I. Yep. So I'll go through here and just update the formulas. These become I. Now this is just the P, so it doesn't have to be updated, but these do. So just to check them, I'll just look at the actual month. So $993 and $13.16 for budget. $993, $13.16, and then $10.48, $13.32, $48, $13.32, and then for today, $11, $9.78 and $96.92. Yep. This used to be where we cut it off. If you look at financial reports from just December, November of 2023 and prior, they won't have what I'm going to show in the later half of this video. What I would normally do on these months is do this for KVH, then go through and do KSH and Veteran Services and Cemeteries and all of those, and then do what I'm going to show you. For the sake of the video, I'm going to go ahead and show how we create these tabs. That one, and then all of these here, these are the new tabs. And I should mention too, that these are just auto-generated. All you have to do is look and make sure they're matching. And this is the comparison. This just has to be 0. This is used so that I can see how much should we spend on commodities this year, January last year, so on and so forth. Census you'll get from Beth at Kansas Veterans Home. She'll send you a little spreadsheet and just plug in the numbers. Except for Medicaid. Medicaid I pull from PCC. For Medicaid, just log in to Point Click Care, Reports, PBJ. And I want it for January. Run report. And Medicaid number is right there, 22. To make the expense detail tabs, I'm going to make another copy. And then I'm going to bring departments down. Look at that. It's already grouped up for me. That's handy. Make sure you SAA. In the North Case Veterans Home. I won't need this anymore. I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of that for future use with the others. Budget units I won't need. Unfreeze the pane so I can see the filtered. On funds, we only need 3756. 3048 will be for cemeteries, but I'm just grabbing it right now. And 8100. And then right now we're only interested in KVH. We want agency use. The agency use code is where we can see this project code right here. So that's why. And then we want the account description below that. Let's see what I did before. Was it? Yeah. Account description. And this describes the actual expenses. And we'll expand this just once. And I collapse these. The information is still there if people want it. But it's not just a wall of text. That way they don't get overwhelmed. And I'll sort this for the largest to smallest. Go in and copy it. I can just paste it right beside the other one. Left. There we are. On this, just make sure this agency use code is still in use down here, which it is, and look for any other projects that you might want to add up above. The last thing to point out is that this number here, the 168,000, should match that right there, the other 168,000 on this tab. The next tab is going to be the revenue details. I'm only interested in KVH. Count 2. Only going to be revenue. And then again, I'm going to have the account description. Here you can see kind of how I've organized it. Department 2, account code 2. Budget unit. Account description, and then we'll add the revenue description right here. And December should match this December. It does. I'm going to go ahead, format these. I'm going to sort them largest to smallest, just so we can see where the most money is coming in from. You don't have to. That's just how I do it. Actually, since it's negatives, I'm going to do smallest to largest. Haha, there we go. I will copy all of these. Paste. More payments came away. I hide these. You don't have to. Just for me, it's easier. And then that's 7231 822 should match. I won't get the SGF because SGF is not recorded in that, but it'll get. Here we are. Our next tab will be salaries and wages. This will be similar to the project expense details, but not quite the same. If you go to this one again, make another copy. Again, we're only interested in KVH. And this time, for account code, just salaries and wages. Code. And so then we'll want the account description. And the expense description. I don't include the fund normally. If you want that, I can start adding it. Just I try to keep it as basic as possible while still relaying the information. That way it's not overwhelming to people. Looks like all those just the HR payroll journals. I'll go ahead and collapse these. And I'm going to make these into a number. Does December match? Does. Okay, that's 7156. Let's see if it matches over here on the by type. Yep, it does. Good, good, good. So I'll copy this. And then I'll sort these largest to smallest. Save it. Next, we'll have the Contractual Services tab. For that, again, we just make a copy. Create copy. KVH. Services. Removing the fund and budget unit begin if they ever want. The dollar amount here can be double clicked, and then they'll see all the information related to that expense. Under fund, we'll want to make sure we do not have 8100 or 3756 selected. Because those will actually be, well, they already showed up in the project details tab. So then, similar to the others, account description, and then expense description. And I'm going to collapse these. That information will be there if they want it, but it's not taking up space in the meantime. Oh, 40. $12.40. From here, copy all of it. That's it for contractual services. Next, we'll do commodities. But to save time, I'm actually going to just copy the contractuals tab. And then all I have to do on it is hit the sort. For account 2, I'm just choosing commodities instead. Need 61. Let's look at commodities here. Yep, they match. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Again, you don't have to hide these, I just do. Capital Outlay and Other will be very similar. I just copied over the commodities this time. Not sorted low, just the smallest. Go ahead. 51,365. Yep. Other. Oh. Usually I don't expand them since there's not much here anyways. I do. Agency use is actually going to be a little different than the others. I'm still going to copy this tab. But then actually am adding agency use down here. There we are. Oh, that's kind of use. And then funds I take out because this is for both projects and our regular spending. Here on the filter for country will have everything except revenue. Those all match. And then this 94.79 should also match. Yep, 94.79. So I'll copy this. Helps if I actually copy it. Make my screen bigger so it's easier to work with. I'll go ahead and sort these largest to smallest. For the obligations tab, it'll actually be that current obligations report we were working with earlier. I'm going to make a whole new pivot table. And from here, similar to before, I'm going to bring down department and organize them. Get rid of the department. The only amount we're really interested in is this remaining amount. On this pivot table, I'm actually going to group it according to fiscal year, not just previous budget year and current budget year. That way we know exactly how old these encumbrances are. And from here, I'll just make a copy. And I usually just go largest to smallest. I actually don't have a current obligations tab in the training workbook yet, so I'll just make a copy this way. And here you can see everything that's encumbered. For the Supplier Spend tab, we'll use this query, Supplier Spend. And so just insert another pivot table. And some of them I'll go ahead and I'll combine, such as Amazon, just so people don't see the individual amounts. I think that's all they've spent at Amazon. Let me check Walmart's another one that often has multiple entries. Here we are. Ungroup these. Then I'll pull the contract ID from PO down. And that is so the reader can see whether or not there's a contract associated with the vendor. And over here, I'll put total spend. I'll sort it from largest to smallest. And this, I'm actually doing just one sheet for everyone. I copy it over to each of the financial reports since the auditors look at us agency-wide and not just by facility. Because if I did it for just KSH or just KVH, someone might look at that and think, oh, we've only spent $1,000 and not realize cemetery just spent $3,000 with the same vendor. From here, we're just going to move the tab over to the workbook. This notes tab is just where I'll add notes specific for the previous month. And so like for January, I added a note on February 1st. I added a supplier spend tab. And then also I've gone through and I've updated the expense tabs. And then down here would be anything of note, such as last month, I pointed out that we were caught up on per diem payments, or it may be if a fund is getting super low, I'll call it out in that section. Just anything that I think needs attention on it. And after this, I usually go to Kansas Soldiers Home and I just go in order. They're all pretty much the same. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to go ahead and skip to Veteran Services because it's the only one that actually has some items that are different. It has a project tab and then this program, and by department makes things a little trickier. No, the others don't have it divided out in the same way. The By Fund will be the same process we did with KVH. And then for the program code, though, that should auto pull. And then this number should match one on the By Fund tab, which is why 0 wasn't matching. And then this is the one where it gets tricky. I have to go back in. So So let me go to the actuals here. I'll just pull out, I'll just use this one. I'll do Veteran Services. And this one's it by department. And then that's where we have our type. You should see here. Oh, interesting. For some reason, the training document didn't get the other figures, so I'll just fill those in. That one's correct. I didn't bother with formatting it since it'll take on the format of this new spreadsheet when I copy it over. Now I'll just copy these over. F0904. And this 376 down here is actually a flag. There was a voucher out there that was supposed to be SAA, I believe it was, instead of Veteran Services. And so a journal voucher has been entered to correct it, but it wasn't entered until February. That's why these are showing off. For SAA, I don't break it out near as much because we don't monitor it that closely. It's mostly just a reimbursement anyways. And so I'll do the main things I used to do back before December. That's about it. If it gets requested that we monitor it closely, I will. But right now, I just haven't seen why. Some, like cemeteries, you'll notice they don't have an other tab. That's because as of right now, when I do the pivot tables, there are no other expenses that pop up. I'll continue to see each month, and if they get another expense, I'll do it. But they just haven't so far. And that's pretty much it. As I said, I'll do the same as I did for KVH, for KSH, cemeteries, admin, veteran services. I have to break out that department code. But that's all really. It's time consuming, but it's not really that difficult. So if anyone wants me to go through and show the breakdown of how to do cemeteries and Kansas Soldiers Home, and those I will, just let me know, and I'd be happy to do more and to help out. I hope you have a great day.